Good morning. Well, it isn't actually good morning. It's a horrible morning today. I still haven't got around to going in the garden to do a gardening video. We've had 2 days of snow. We had quite a lot of snow yesterday morning when we woke up, which turned to rain. And it was torrential rain all day yesterday. Heavy rain again this morning. It's now, what time is it? It's nearly 11 o'clock. It's brightened up a little bit. It's more of a light rain now, but it's horrible. The wind's getting up. I think we're getting Storm Brett, which I think people down south have already had, but we're getting it today, overnight tonight and tomorrow morning. I think it's moving up this way. So no gardening in sight. I haven't even been set foot out of doors since Friday, and it's now Sunday morning. I'm very lucky I don't have to do that. My husband's been working. He's worked yesterday and today. So I thought, well, let me do a book video. So I think it went down reasonably well, my last one. So I thought I would do a crime novel book tube. Is it called booktube? Book video, anyway. Now, my husband reads more crime than I do, to be fair. If I read crime, more often than not, I would read historical crime. So I like Ellis Peters, some of the people I covered actually in the last video, people like that, some lesser known ones. So I've tried to stick just to more modern crime, modern as in, last 100 years or so, nothing that goes back into medieval times or what have you. So I've been a little bit limited, to be quite honest, because I don't have a lot of physical books of that genre. So I've raided my husband's books as well and picked a few of his favourites. I don't think he's ever read any crime novel that I haven't read. Often I find a good author and I will recommend to him and say, oh, I think you'll really enjoy these. So we'll start in no particular order. Again, just take the first one off my pile. And we have here, now my husband's just finished reading this. It's going back to the library next week. Peter Robinson. Now, some of you may only know Peter Robinson from the TV adaptation of these books that was done, I think, ITV a few years ago with Stephen Tompkinson. And they were very good. But he, in my mind, it didn't look like the detective I had in my head when I read the books. The detective is called DCI Banks. They're set in Yorkshire. He's not supposed to be from Yorkshire. He's come up from London to moved up here. And they're very good. They are very good. Unfortunately, Peter Robinson died a couple of years ago, so there won't be any more. Unfortunately, he had sort of dual citizenship. He lived in the UK and Canada. But no, I have the character of the book, the detective in the book. In my head, I saw someone much more rugged, somebody like Kieran Hines, if you know what I mean. Somebody a lot more rugged. Darker haired, more rugged features than Stephen Tompkinson. I think he did it very well. He played the part very well. And I think at the beginning, the first few that they did, Peter Robinson was involved. But unfortunately, I think they had a falling out, and I don't think he was quite keen on the direction they went in. And they turned a bit into like the Vera novels, the Vera TV series. It was always like Shetland, that's another one, based on the characters, because they ran out of books and they just stopped using the books and they just made up stories using the same characters. But I don't think he particularly liked the direction they were taking it in, so he stopped being involved. But any of his books are brilliant. Now this one is, that's my phone again. You'd think Howard Love was a really popular person, wouldn't you? But it's probably just an email, a rubbish email coming through. I'm not sure which one of them this is. There are lots to get through. I bet there must be 20. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. There's 21 listed at the front of this. And I'm not sure how many. I say my husband's just finished this. It's a library copy. I would have said he's about 5 or 6, something like that in. So very good, but they are very good. I do like them very much. And staying with the Yorkshire theme, because I haven't completely thrown this together, is another author which most people may not have heard of, but I think he is brilliant. Now, my husband hasn't read any of these yet. I'm hoping he will. this isn't the first one. I don't think this is the first one. No, it isn't. Is this guy called J.R. Ellis. He's retired. I think, was he a retired policeman? Let me read a bit about him. He was involved. I think he had some knowledge of police procedure. Oh, I don't think it tells you anything about him in here because it's a paperback. Usually get a bit of blurb. Oh no, it does. Here we are, look. Was he a teacher? Yes, I beg your pardon. He's a retired teacher. He taught further education in the Leeds area. So no, he doesn't have any particular knowledge of police procedural. And he's gone on to be a novelist. And I love these. I mean, this one, as you can see, is called The Nidderdale Murders. And they're all set in Yorkshire. The detective in these, DCI Oldroyd, is a typical bluff Yorkshireman, like a Yorkshire version of Morse almost. And he's supposed to be based in Harrogate. It was supposed to be West Yorkshire Police Headquarters in Harrogate. Well, A, Harrogate's not in West Yorkshire, and B, there isn't it's an invented, headquarters for West Yorkshire Police wouldn't be in Harrogate. So, they're brilliant, and they're set in real places, and if you're a local or you've been to the area, you know the area, you'll recognise some of the names are slightly changed of some of the venues that these murders are set, but they're all based on real places. And as you read it, you think, that sounds familiar. I'm not sure again how many there are. There's a few, and he's still writing. To my knowledge, he's still writing. I mean, there's 4 listed at the front, and this makes 5, and I've got another one on my shelf. So yeah, there's at least half a dozen, and I think there may even be more than that. I've read them all, and they're brilliant, and I'm going to try and get my husband started on reading these. I think he'd really enjoy them. So if you like Peter Robinson, you would love J.R. Ellis. Again, there's a good relationship between him and his deputy, his sergeant, who is from London. He worked for the Met, and he moves up to Yorkshire, and so he's a complete convert to Yorkshire and becomes sort of more Yorkshire than Oldroyd, and Oldroyd teaches him Yorkshire sayings and Yorkshire, all about the county. He's a proud Yorkshireman, as are all Yorkshiremen, I think, really. Well, as you should be, wherever you're from. If you're a Londoner, be proud to be a Londoner. If you're from Manchester, be proud to be a Man. Wherever you're from, be proud, I think. I'm a proud Yorkshire woman. So, so it is quite a nice relationship and quite a bit of humour between the two of them, which is good. And the first one is when he first moves up, and he's a bit of not a rookie when it comes to the police because he worked for the Met, but he's a rookie when it comes to Yorkshire people. Like in if you've read All Creatures Great and Small, or if you've watched it on TV, and James Herriot came down from Glasgow, so he was a townie, and he moved to the Dales where all the Yorkshire farmers were like, "Nah then lad, you don't really do it like that," and they were really put him through it a little bit. He's a bit like that. He has to deal with these bluff Yorkshire farmers and just general Yorkshire people who don't suffer fools, say what they think, and doesn't know how to deal with it. But yeah, very good, very good. Enjoyed them very much indeed. Always look out for the next one coming. So if we'd have been geographical slightly about it, we'll move on to someone who I adore her books. I adore her books. I've not read them all. I think I'm on number 6. My husband's just started the 5th one, which I've just finished. So I think the next one I'm due to read will be number 6. But we love her, and just purely by chance discovered her. L.J. Ross. Now, this is a part of the country that we adore, and I would go live there tomorrow, quite frankly. I love Yorkshire, and it's not all that far away from Yorkshire, but I absolutely adore Northumberland. It is the most beautiful, beautiful part of the world, and I could easily live there. And we actually bought this book on Holy Island in, I think it was a National Trust gift shop, and I'd gone in for, I can't remember what, gifts for someone, fudge to take to work, whatever, and I'd heard about this author. Didn't know anything about her, didn't even know if it was a lady or a man, L.J. Ross, and she wrote, and the first book I'd heard of was called Holy Island. I thought, at some point I'd like to read that, because it's set on a place that we absolutely love. Lindisfarne is just, we stay not far from Lindisfarne when we go over, and when we go up there, we stay at the same cottage, and you can see this castle from the cottage, and it's just beautiful. It's quiet, and the beaches are unspoiled. It's not very touristy. There's no nightclubs, there's no raucous pubs, and it's just, depends what you want from a holiday, doesn't it? You know, if you like a nightclub and a bit of nightlife, and yeah, you don't go to Northumberland, because you're not going to find that really. Go to Newcastle, you will, but not this part of Northumberland, no. And so I always thought, oh, I'd like to read that if it's set on Holy Island. I went into this shop, and there it was. There was a whole shelf full of books by this author. I hadn't realised there were so many. So I bought the first one, and I read it, and I was hooked. And I said to my husband, you need to read these books, they're brilliant. And I've since, as I say, I think I'm next due to read the 6th one, called Cragside, which we go to a lot. It's a beautiful, beautiful house. And that's the next one, I think, in the series. Does it list them at the front? It possibly doesn't, because this is the first one, and you often find that it only lists the first 5. So yes, that's correct then. So there's this one, Sycamore Gap, which of course has been in the news with the felling of the beautiful tree at Sycamore Gap. That's the second one. Heavenfield is the third. Angel is the fourth. That's the Angel of the North. I don't know if you know where I mean. The statue, the Gormley statue, and High Force, which is a waterfall. And then the 6th one is Cragside, which is what I'm due to read next, but I haven't got a copy of it yet. So this, brilliant, really interesting. Again, similar scenario. The main detective in these is Ryan, Inspector Ryan, who's not a local. And he's come up and he's had all sorts of issues, shall we say, in his past. I won't say too much because I don't want to give it away. And this involves a sect that have done it's like a ritual murder that's set in the priory on Lindisfarne. The body's found in the priory. But every one of them have just been so good. You rattle through. I mean, they're not particularly thick, but the print's fairly small. But you do rattle through them. They are brilliant. I highly recommend. It's a lady. L.J. Ross is a lady author, and she's still writing. She's only young. Hopefully she's got lots and lots of books. She has written another series. I think they're set in Devon or Cornwall. The other series. I haven't read them yet. I'm working my way through these, and when I've read all these, I shall try the other series. But really recommend L.J. Ross. I think anyone who's ever read one or picked one up would say the same. Do you need to read them in order? I would say yes. I think it would help because it does sort of follow on. They're complete stories, but some of the characters and what's going on with the characters follow into the next books. So I would say read them in order, and this is the first one. But I do highly recommend them if you get the chance. And while we're up in Northumberland, we therefore have to mention, I would say, Anne Cleeves. Now, this is a library book. This is my next read, actually, when I finish the book I'm reading at the moment. This is the latest Vera, The Dark Wives. So I can't tell you anything about this particular book because I haven't read it myself yet. But as you can see there by the picture, it's a Vera one. It's the latest one. So she does still write, Vera. I don't think she's written a Shetland book for quite some time. I've read all those, and they were very good. Very different, again, to the series. I enjoy the series on TV. Or I did enjoy the series on TV, because I like Douglas Henshall, to be quite honest. He's a bit of eye candy to watch, isn't he? And then of course he stopped doing them, so it's not the same really. But again, he didn't look remotely like the character of Perez in the Shetland books. He was much darker in the name Perez. He had Spanish ancestry. And he was described as being dark and swarthier and nothing like Douglas Henshall at all, but it didn't detract really, to be honest, from it. So I enjoy the Shetland, but these as well, I really enjoy these. I'm glad to see there's going to be a new Vera. I'll be able to watch it because I don't watch BBC TV. I can't, I've no licence to watch it. So Shetland's a no-go for me now, but Vera is ITV, so I can watch that. So I don't watch TV much anyway, but I would watch something like this. So I can't tell you what this is about because I haven't read it, but I'm sure it will be very good. It's the 11th Vera novel, it says. So I mean, I know that this new series of Vera that's going to be starting soon is the last one that she's doing. I don't know whether they'll recast it. I'd be surprised if they did. I can't imagine anyone else playing it, really. But then I couldn't imagine anyone else playing... Well, nobody else did play in Shetland, did they? They just completely changed the characters. Now, they could do that with this, I suppose. They could promote one of the other, like Morse. When Morse stopped doing it, they did Lewis, didn't they? They could maybe do that. I don't know what they'll do. I think personally you should quit while you're ahead and just leave it as that's it. We're not doing any more. There's a message flashed up on there. Nothing exciting. So, yes, Anne Cleeves. So any of her books, really, any of the Veras. Again, the Veras, I don't think so much need to be read in order. There's a little bit of background story to her about her father, and she inherits his house and what he used to be up to and what he did. He was a little bit of an ne'er-do-well and all this kind of thing. But I don't think it really matters. You can read them in as standalones if you want. And I recommend the Shetland ones as well. But she's written other series that I haven't read. But they're very well plotted, well written, good stories. I don't think I've ever guessed the ending to any of them. So yeah, Anne Cleeves, brilliant. So I think we've done with our geographical trip round the north of England. So we're going to move on to an old favourite, which everyone, I would imagine, who likes books will have read at least one. Agatha Christie. Can't go wrong, can you, really? Death on the Nile. Again, how many people play Poirot? Lots. My ultimate favourite. Everybody thinks of David Suchet. Yes, because he looked like Poirot. The description of Poirot. He was short, he was dark, his little moustache. He was brilliant, was David Suchet, don't get me wrong, he was. I've always had a little penchant for the Peter Ustinov films, to be honest, which he did Death on the Nile, didn't he? And he did, what else did he do? Now then, what's that one? Evil Under the Sun. He did that, didn't he? And I think, did he do Sparkling Cyanide? Possibly. Anyway, you can correct me if I'm wrong. So I quite liked his film versions, but he didn't really look like Poirot, whereas David Suchet did. So I have read this. I've not read every Agatha Christie book. I do like Miss Marple. I loved Miss Marple when she was on TV back in the day when it was Joan Hickson. She was the best Miss Marple, I think. And apparently she was Agatha Christie's choice to play Miss Marple. I think I've only seen one Margaret Rutherford one, and I think she was a little bit over the top. This is just my opinion, don't shoot the messenger. She was a bit silly, a bit too silly. The whole point was that she was she describes herself as a scatty old lady, didn't she? And so therefore people opened up to her and talked to her because they didn't think she was dangerous, they didn't think she was likely to be able to, do anything, or she was easy to talk to, just like talking to your granny or somebody. So that helped because she got information about what was going on. And she could be nosy because little old ladies are supposed to be nosy and all that kind of thing. But I just thought Margaret Rutherford played it a little bit too silly, whereas Joan Hickson got it spot on. She was a scatty old lady who just sort of listened and was nosy and asked questions, and nobody thought anything of her. But yeah, so that any of Agatha Christie's, I'm about to read. This is again one of the books I'm reading, hopefully before Christmas. Hopefully, this one, which is a Midwinter Murder. So I think this is written by her. It doesn't say it isn't. It's a compendium. It's a short story compendium. There's a little bit of blurb on the back. Deadly snowdrifts and dangerous gifts, poisoned meals and mysterious guests. This new compendium of seasonal short stories, featuring some of Agatha Christie's most famous detectives, is perfect for reading in front of a crackling fire when the days are growing shorter and there's a chill in the air, and murder is never far away. Ooh. So I thought I'd give this a crack. I picked this up through watching another YouTube video, booktuber, who I love, Miranda Mills. Check her out. If you love your books, check out Miranda Mills. She's brilliant. I really love her videos. The cosy, the warm. She lives in a beautiful house with her mum in Yorkshire. And she's very, very knowledgeable about books. She's worked in publishing and she knows her stuff. And she recommended this a few vlogs back. And I thought, if I can get that. Because it's nice to dip into, when you're busy in December. You can just dip into that and just read one story every day. So anyway, I managed to pick it up from the library. So I'm going to be reading this after the Anne Cleeves and after the one I'm reading at the moment, which I will mention in my next vlog, so I'm going to just do general fiction in the next vlog. And the one I'm reading now, I started it in good time because I thought it's a thick book. I thought this will take me ages to get through and I want to read it before Christmas because it's set at Christmas. And I've rattled through it in about 3 days. I've nearly finished it because it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But I'll talk about that in the next video. So yeah, Agatha Christie. So short stories, Poirot, Miss Marple, and I think there's others that she does that are just neither of the main detectives are just murders. So yeah, anything by her is brilliant. And then another favourite of both mine and my husband's, and lots of people actually, Peter James, who has also had his books adapted for television. Again, luckily ITV, so I can watch them. And I think they've been brilliantly well adapted. John Sim plays the main character in them, DCI Grace, and he plays him really well. There's never really, I can't think of there's a lot of description of how he looks in the books. I just may have forgotten. But I don't remember, oh goodness me, I don't remember reading a description of him and thinking, that doesn't sound like John Sim. So I'm not sure if there was a description of him. But anyway, it doesn't really matter because the rest of the characters are just the same as this. The adaptations on TV match the descriptions of the characters in here. You know, there's women detectives, there's a black detective, there's Cassian Pugh, who's one of his bosses, who was a creepy, slimy, not very nice person, is well cast in the series as well. Yeah, and they follow the stories very well and very close as well. They do tend to do more than one book in the same story, you know, because if they did every book, it's going to take far too long. But Peter James is involved in the filming, and that shows because they stick very much to the book, I think. I'm not sure where this one falls. I mean, look how many there are. I'm not sure where this falls in the list. Does it say? No, it doesn't. They're set in Brighton mainly, which isn't a part of the world I know, but it doesn't matter if you don't know the area. They're just very, very well written, and can be a bit gruesome in parts, and it keeps you on the edge of your seat. They're quick reads. They're very nice short chapters, which, you know, page 69 and you're already on chapter 20. That's a chapter. So it makes it easy to read quickly, and if you haven't got a lot of time, you can pick it up and read a couple of chapters in 10 minutes easily. And they're just brilliant. We just love them. We've read all. I think we both read all. Yes, we have. My husband's up to date with them. Read all the Grace ones. And I've just finished reading Sandy's story, They Thought I Was Dead, which is, well, I won't say a side story, but without giving too much away, in the first book, Grace has not lost his wife. His wife has disappeared. She's gone missing. Nobody knows what's happened to her. And that's followed through the first few books as he tries to move on with his life. He has her declared dead after 7 years, and he meets someone else and they move on and what have you. But you never really find out what's happened to her until well into the series when, well, something happens and you find out what's happened to her. But not all the details, just find out where she is at that point or what happened to her at that point. But in Sandy's story, you get the whole of the backstory as well as from day one, or even before day one, when she went missing, why she went missing, where she went to, what happened to her. And I enjoyed it very much. My husband says he's not bothered about reading that, so that's up to him, isn't it? But I enjoyed it. It was quite good. So yeah, so Peter James, brilliant, highly recommended. And we're nearly there now, you'll be pleased to know. Just 2 to go. 2 to go. Now, I haven't read one of these books for a long time. And maybe, I think I am behind. I think there are some more that have come out since. There are a lot of his books. Quentin Jardine. These are set in Edinburgh, in Scotland. They're brilliant. They're really, really brilliant. And there's been ever such a lot. He's still writing. I think the last one I read was called A Rush of Blood, but it must be 2 or 3 years ago, so there'll be probably been a couple since then. But again, I think they need to be read in order. I bought this one because I couldn't get it through the library, to be honest. But the first one is called Skinner's Rules. Skinner is the name of the detective, Bob Skinner, and you follow his life basically from being a DI, working his way up to being right at the top of the police. And in fact, the last few, he's retired from the police and he's more of a consultant. He gets called into, and he works on a newspaper. He does all sorts of different things, but he always gets involved, ends up in being involved in solving a crime, or often it's underworld things, or it's like gangs and drug gangs, and yeah, all sorts of things. But they really are good. They really are good. Now, another author that I haven't actually got any books of his, but I absolutely adore, Stuart McBride. He does write sort of horror ones as well, which I have read, but the main ones I love are his crime, set in Aberdeen, and they make me laugh out loud. They're not meant to be funny really. It's a serious crime novel, quite gory in places. If you don't like a lot of gore, if you like your gentle crime, your Agatha Christie's, Stuart McBride might not be for you, but I think they are hilarious, and the relationship between the main character, or two characters, are absolute, have me laughing out loud. They're so funny. Quite a few of the characters in them are funny. So I need to get a mention of Stuart McBride. If you want another recommendation for a good, juicy crime, here's your guy. And the final one I've got, and again, I haven't read any of hers for a long time, another Scottish writer, Val McDermid. Now, some of you may remember the TV series many years ago that was done about, was it Wiring the Blood? Now then, what's the guy called who was in them? Does it say on here? No, it doesn't. But it's Tony Hill anyway. He's like a psychologist and he helps to solve crimes. I have read this, but again, it's a long time ago. A friend ended up giving me this copy to read. But yeah, Tony Hill. I think this is a Wiring the Blood one. Yeah, the new Tony Hill thriller. But she's written other series as well. Standalone books she's written, and then various other stories, series and short stories. And again, she's Scottish. Are they set in Scotland? I'm not sure if they are. But she's Scottish. I think she now lives in Yorkshire. Correct me if I'm wrong. I have a feeling she lived in Leeds now. But she is from, I think, Glasgow, I think, originally. But yeah, all her books are very, very good. Very good indeed, Val. But I haven't read one for a long time, so I can't say that if they still are. I'm sure they are. But I don't know. I don't know that for a fact. So I hope you can see me okay, because the light is terrible. I've had to put a lamp on at the side here because it's a dark day. So that's my favourite crime novelists that I could... There will be others I've forgotten. I've thought of loads of historical authors that I never mentioned. Couldn't believe when I started putting the books back on my shelves, and I thought, oh gosh, I didn't mention so and so. Oh no, I didn't mention. How could I not mention Jean Plaidy? Jean Plaidy, I love Jean Plaidy. She got me interested in history when I was about 12 or 13. I found one of her books on the shelf at the library on my way home from school and picked it up and started to read it, and I was hooked. And then I went back and I got all the Plantagenet ones and the Tudor ones, and I've learnt more history from reading Jean Plaidy novels than I ever did at school. But it got me so that I did it at school. I did O-level history. I did an advanced O-level. I did an A-level. And I wanted to go on and do a degree. And it's all thanks to Jean Plaidy. So how could I not have mentioned her in the last video? But anyway, sorry. Sorry, Jean. She's not with us anymore. She also writes as Victoria Holt. Some people prefer, though. They're not based on real people, but they're historical. So anyway, there you go. So I've rabbited on for nearly half an hour. So I think that's more than long enough, isn't it? So I will do a general fiction recommendations. And I might be the new year before I do like a wrap up of my favourite books that I've read this year. The trouble is a lot of the books that I'll have read this year I've already featured in these videos. But yeah, I'll do that as well, I think. And I might get to do a gardening video if we get some nice weather again, but we'll just have to wait and see, because at the moment I ain't going out there, and it doesn't look very nice out there anyway. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I'll try and do another one maybe next week. And I'll see you all later. Bye.